then Israel, and to succeed the Pax Americana, we have argued that you need a great war to do that. The passage from Pax Britannica, the emergence of Pax Britannica, required Britain to wage war continuously using the Navy, the British Navy, and the British Army land war and naval war for hundreds of years. Hundreds of years. But when the time came for the passage from stage 1 to stage 2, there were two big wars. There was the First Great World War, First World War, and the Second World War. And because you and I want to connect the dots of history, we have to study political history. We have to study military history to be able to understand the Quran and to understand the prophecies of Prophet Muhammad, Allah's blessings be upon him. Our critics don't appear to have that interest. We saw that in the First World War, it was a false flag, an assassination of the Grand Duke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary, who was assassinated in Sarajevo in the summer of 1914. But on Judgment Day, we'll get the evidence that the gunman was not acting on his own, that there was a planning behind it. There were actors behind him who targeted the assassination of Franz Ferdinand because they wanted to use this to have a domino effect, to bring about a war which they had planned. Oh yes, they had spent a long time planning the First World War, long in advance. And all that they needed was the bushfire with which to start it. And that was the role of the assassination of the Grand Duke Franz Ferdinand of Sarajevo. And then the First World War took place. And we notice in the First World War that Britain and France had approached Russia, and their purpose was to deceive Russia and take Russia for a ride. I chatted today for a long time on the phone with my dear friend Ken O'Keefe, and Ken might be listening to this lecture as well. And I explained to Ken, and he laughed. He laughed. I said, the Tsar Nicholas of Russia was a man who belonged to a family which had faith in the Lord God. They were pious Christians. But while he had faith in his heart, he didn't seem to have more than peanuts in his head. And so the British and the French were successful in deceiving Russia and establishing a triple alliance with Russia. They knew it was going to be a formidable fight. They knew that millions were going to die fighting Germany and fighting the Ottoman Empire, but because these were two massive military machines. And they didn't want Englishmen to take the brunt of the fighting. And they didn't want Frenchmen to die so many numbers on the battlefield. So they used Russia as their guinea pig. And so long as the war was prolonged, and Russia was suffering so many men being killed, and the Russian economy is in straits, difficulties, they were able to intervene and to win public opinion in Russia against the Shah. And so they attacked him with a sword both from the front and from the back. And they were able to bring about the Bolshevik Revolution. But this I'm sharing with you, as I did with Ken today, to show you how the planning took place for the First World War. And the First World War gave us a great step towards Pax Judaica, because they liberated the Holy Land from Ottoman rule, and they established a British mandate over Jerusalem and the Holy Land. And from 1917, 1918, and 1948, Britain presided over the return of Jews to the Holy Land, not Israelite Jews, who were scattered all over the world of Islam, Morocco and Iran and all these places. Not those Jews, but the others who were not a Semitic people at all. They were European people. These are the ones who were brought back to, not brought back, they're coming for the first time. European Jews were brought to the Holy Land. And then the state of Israel was established after the Second World War, in which again they deceived Hitler. And Germany made the mistake for the second time of attacking Russia. The first time they attacked Russia, it was through this Triple Alliance, and they deceived Russia, and Russia lost so many men in the First World War. But the second time it was Hitler who attacked Russia. And then after that, the state of Israel was established in 1948. And then these European Jews who now control Israel, these are the ones who by their hook or by the crook, mostly by the crook, brought all these other Jews who are Israelite Jews from Yemen, from Iran, from Morocco, from Egypt, from all over the world of Islam, where the Jews had lived for 2,000 years. We were only 1,400 years of the world of Islam. But they lived with us, and they lived with us in a harmonious state. They were not complaining. So there was no fighting, there was no enmity, there was no hatred between Muslims and Jews for all these years that the Jews were living within the world of Islam. They even lived in Constantinople in the Ottoman Empire, and the Ottoman Empire protected them. But these Jews are now deceived and brought back to the Holy Land by the European state of Israel. And then you saw how the European state of Israel, using every trick in the book, every lie, every single act of oppression you could think of, is constantly expanding and taking control of a land which never belonged to them.